I'm sorry for being late.
Our next speaker is Bella.
Okay, thank you, UT, again. I apologize. Dead week is a mess for me. Anyways, but I'm really grateful for the opportunity to speak. And I also just want to send my gratitude to Dr. Taylor, as well as Corey. I know he's not here, but just for the support and guidance through the project, as well as the Abolition Democracy Initiative and just the entirety of the Black Studies Collaboratory. But before I get into talking about my elder, I did want to just introduce myself a little bit more. As UT said, I'm Bella, and I'm a second year in the undergrad in the African American Studies department. And over the past couple of years, I've really found myself gravitating towards community organizing and activism, as I had done in my past in Humboldt County at home. And throughout my childhood and my high school career, I really found myself researching the Black Panther Party, as well as other Black revolutionaries. However, this research wasn't really sought out or inspired or advanced by my teachers and educators around me in that space. And so this exploration of the Panthers and other revolutionaries really connected me to the legacy of Black activism and allowed me to stay rooted in the Black liberation struggle, while the community I was around wasn't really resonating with that or passionate about the things that I was passionate about. So to have the opportunity to engage in a project like this has really fulfilled my inner child in ways that I can't explain with words. I just feel very whole, and I just feel very grateful and grounded in the work that we're doing. And I really feel it is a part of my purpose at Cal to do this research, as well as research just Black folks in general in other capacities, let that be with BSC or with Black Lives at Cal. And I really never realized how much I loved research until coming into all these different spaces. So it's just been an amazing opportunity to do this, and this is really just the beginning of my intellectual journey and my pursuit of academia in general. So anyways, let me get back on track with talking about my elder. I just wanted to connect myself to the work. But during this research, I've learned a lot of different techniques in regards to interviewing and journalism in general, which I haven't really done in the past with my other research projects. And I think one of the most important aspects of this has been identifying a North Star. And a North Star in journalistic research is the guiding point that you structure your interview and your research around. So without discovering this North Star, I wouldn't have been able to identify the moments that I found most valuable in regards to my elder. And especially because these elders have so much accomplishments and so many accolades that it's really hard to pinpoint one specific time. So as I began my research on Miss J. Tarika Lewis, I found a quote that really drew my attention from the jump, which was, "I put down my violin and picked up a gun." And I truly feel this is a pivotal moment in my elder's life, and this would become my North Star and provide the foundation I needed for a powerful interview, which I've yet to conduct. But throughout this little panel section, I will be discussing my background research, as well as sharing a couple of the interview questions I intend to ask. So as for the background of Miss J. Tarika Lewis, she was born and raised in Oakland, California during the 1950s. Growing up, she was a super talented jazz violinist, as well as an artist. She attended Oakland Tech, where she began her activist career, really inspired by the community that she built and was drawn to at Merritt College. So at Oakland Tech, she formed the BSU, as well as the Black History Club. And with this, she advocated for a Black Studies course at the high school. And in the spring of 1967, she actually dropped out of high school to join the Black Panther Party. She would become the first woman to join the party, and with this endeavor, she really had to advocate and demand for her right to be in that position, which I found super pivotal. And on top of that, she demanded to have a gun from the jump, and I think that really shows kind of her character and who she is as a woman and an activist and also a party member, and this is also the moment of my North Star, right, where she puts down the violin and picks up that gun. And this is probably one of the most powerful moments that I believe in the Black Panther Party in total, because this truly opened the door for women to not only become members, but leaders within the party. And during her time with the party, she worked her way up to a lieutenant where she would train recruits to actually shoot the guns, which I think as like a woman, you're probably also training men, and that is just like, that's really remarkable. As well as implementing her creativity within her visual and graphic art. So alongside Emery Douglas, Matilaba, is that? Matilaba, which was her like artist name. She was actually featured in the Black Panther newspaper over 40 times between 1967 and 1969. And her art often depicted Black female Panthers. And this really provided the space for Black women to be identified with their contributions to the community, the culture, the movement, and the party in general. And much of her work was outlined by like her shading and her thin pen stroke. So it's very easy to identify like her work as opposed to Emery's. And there was also just the common thing of representation of like police as pigs, and also just like the Panthers with guns, but this is specifically Black women with guns. And in 1969, Miss J. Tarika Lewis actually leaves the party to pursue her music career again. So she founds the Oakland Black String Ensemble, and she even went on an international tour with the saxophonist John Handy. And after her time in the Black Panther Party, she accomplishes so much, I think like more so than even when she was in the party. She co-authored Panther, a pictorial history of the Black Panthers and story behind the film alongside Eula Taylor and Mario Van Peebles, as well as starring as an actress and a consultant in the film itself in 1995. She also helps to establish Little Bobby Hutton Day in 1998. And in 2005, she co-founds the Bay Area Youth Arts alongside William Kinsey. And amongst all of her accomplishments, she also received several awards, such as the Congressional Recognition Award for Performing Artists and Recognition of Community Work by the Congresswoman Barbara Lee in 2001. And she was inducted into the Alameda County's Women's Hall of Fame, which I found super fascinating. And currently, Miss Lewis is a mother of two, and she continues to be an educator, a mentor, specifically around music. So she works as a mentor and a teacher in the string of soul violin class at the Bay Area Youth Arts, which this opportunity provides like inner city youth a rare opportunity to study classical music and receive formal trainings in musical theory as well. And she also is an instructor and counselor at the Healthy Babies Project, which is an Oakland rehab center, which she developed a framework to support recovering women to implement art as a form of healing through visualization, exploration, and understanding of past addictions and traumas. Throughout all of the community organizing and activism, I truly believe Miss Lewis stayed true to her musical foundations as well as her artistic abilities. And I really love how full circle her life in the Black Panther Party was, from putting down that violin and picking up the gun to doing the opposite, putting down the gun and picking up the violin. And throughout all of this, she was able to serve her community through her creative and artistic roots, as well as develop spaces around healing through art and music. And as I mentioned before, I did want to share some of the questions that I intend to ask Miss J. Tarika Lewis, just because I feel like that provides a little insight into the conversation I will be having with her. As an Oakland native, they grew up right across the bay from the legendary Fillmore district. So I wanted to ask, what music do they remember growing up hearing? Because I feel like that's really gonna set the foundation to, what inspired them to pick up that violin in the first place. And then the second question I want to ask, because they are the first member of the Black Panther Party, I was really drawn to the fact that they had to advocate for the opportunity to be in the party. And it really seems like they don't really put up with, a lot of the BS of the party, because what woman is being like, y'all need to have me in this space. But overall, how did they navigate being a woman in the party, and how did they navigate being the first woman in the party, if that? And then they also participated in the Oakland Museum of California's All Power to the People Black Panthers at 50 exposition. And during this, they collected several interviews with J. Tarika Lewis, and they mentioned sacrifices that they made during the civil rights movement, specifically around her violin career and her education. And I know later on in life they did go back and receive their diploma, but I really wanted to ask, how did that feel? Because they mentioned those sacrifices, but how did it feel to go and fulfill something that you had to put aside for the movement? yeah, so those are really just a couple of questions that I plan on asking. I do also have a video. I don't know if we still want to show that.
I think we won't show
Okay.
it. Okay. But thank you for doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah, of course. But yeah, that is really all I wanted to share about Miss J. Tarika Lewis.